Hello everyone. Welcome back to Thursday night racing, Thursday afternoon, Thursday morning, wherever you may be joining us. Of course, welcome. It's time for, as always, the Tier 1 racing action. It's round 2 of Season 5, and we're here for the Netherlands for our 6th out of, 7 races this week. And, joining me for it all, George, Mr. Unicorn, how are you doing, and how are we shaping up for this one?
Well, Striff, the Netherlands so far, Zandvoort, has caused us a lot of excitement around a track you might not necessarily expect so much drama, so much excitement to happen. So, coming into this one, I'm expecting everything or anything to happen that maybe we haven't seen already. Rain might happen. That safety car restart we saw yesterday is something we haven't seen ever, really. So, this track, despite the fact that you can't really overtake it very easily, the dynamics of it have been absolutely crazy this week. So I'm very, very looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's going to be a very, very action-packed race, I'm sure. An explosive campaign. As I've said earlier this week, we had some great rounds of racing, of course. 5 rounds around Zandvoort already here for round 2, and this will be our 6th out of 7 races. And then Saturday we'll be back for Champions Division. It's going to be a very good week of racing, of course, as we have Spa on the weekend as well for a 100% distance race. Now, with that, we look at the calendar. Russia, next week, round 3. Following that, we move to Spa in our calendar. However, of course, that's where we are this weekend for the Real World Formula 1 World Championship. And I'm sure a lot of viewers and racers are all going to be looking forward to that, as I know Unicorn and I are. Of course, following that for us, we have Italy, then Japan, Britain, Azerbaijan, Hungary, of course, Singapore, France, Spain, Austria, then the penultimate round through Mexico, and then the finale in Brazil for the 15th round here for Season 5. Now, that said, let's take a look at the standings here in the Tier 1 division. It is the Italian Mr. Brainstew in the Alfa Romeo leading this Drivers' Championship. Fred, second position for him in the Aston Martin, 18 points to his name, with Shenjay there following through in third position for AlphaTauri. We also have Yar in the top 5 for Aston Martin. He's in the, good points as well, as that puts Aston Martin first in this Constructors' Championship ahead of Alfa Romeo and then AlphaTauri. Ferrari's there in fourth with McLaren rounding out the top 5 for the Constructors here so far after the first round. With that said, we're just about ready to go racing here, I think, in the Netherlands. And, I always like to say and get a little bit of the nerves shaken up, and I want to see rain. We get that roll of the dice, we get the dynamic weather setting coming into these sessions, and should we see rain come through, I think a lot of these drivers might have some difficulty, as we saw earlier this week.
Yeah, absolutely. It will, paint a dynamic. Obviously, Bahrain, you never expect rain there, but here, Zandvoort, it's very much something that could happen, and as such, the drivers, they have to, anticipate that a bit, and it gives us an opportunity, if it does happen, to see who sort of strikes out in terms of who's a little bit more confident in the wet weather, because there's a lot of times you see on the grids necessarily the fastest people aren't always as confident in those wet weather conditions. Maybe that's because they practice in the dry a hell of a lot more. Maybe it's just they're not comfortable in those wet weathers. So when that comes in, it can flip the tables a little bit, and you can see some people who don't always score points week in, week out soar up the leaderboard. So it'll be very, very exciting to see that here in the second round. But obviously, a dry race as well. We'll see. It's a very different track to Bahrain. So either way, results could vary quite substantially, I think, from what we saw last week.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. They can definitely vary compared to what we saw last week. Of course, shout out to Mr. Jones in the chat with the resubscription, commenting, heavy rain would be nice tonight. Yeah, I agree. It will be something to see, of course, now getting into the session. And thank you so much to everyone viewing along this evening for the support. Of course, if you're just jumping in, thank you very much. Share the stream. We're about to go through into 18 minutes of qualifying here in the Netherlands. And, let's just take a look at how things are shaping up on the weather. And, I have to say, not a cloud in the sky as far as I can tell here, George.
Yeah, very, very dry looking qualifying. Obviously, that doesn't necessarily mean it's a dry race, or we might see, a dynamic situation where it goes from dry to wet in the race. But right now, we would only have information if a driver came across, or an engineer. Obviously, a lot of these drivers will have someone communicating to them. So if anyone's got a weather report, we always greatly appreciate that information. We've already got drivers coming out of the garage. It's Remco Van Putten in the Haas right now, bombing out, and no points on the board yet for Remco this season.
This is a crucial race for the Dutchman. Home circuit for him. Surely he'd like to get some solid points around here, but this grid, well, why don't you take us through who we have racing tonight, because it is a very competitive lineup.
Yeah, absolutely. After a successful week for them, Yar in the Aston Martin starts this session on top of the time top. Mark behind him in the Alpine. And we have Brownie in the McLaren. Remco Van Putten, who we mentioned as the home race here tonight. Yakak in the Alfa Romeo. Verdex in the Williams. Eruption over in the Mercedes. Larson over in the other Alpine. Then we've got Ben there in ninth in the Ferrari. Fred came P2 last week, there in 10th place at the moment. Scars in the other Ferrari. Freeware, Magnetar and Shenjie, the two AlphaTauri sandwiching the McLaren there. Then Wanlu, best mate Dimitri, the only reserve for tonight's race in the Red Bull. Brainsuit, last week's race winner, over in the Alfa Romeo, just leaving the garage now. And then Candy King bringing up the rear in the last Red Bull. But Remco Van Putten has started his fly. He's just coming through turn 1. There's Yakak on the inside, the pit lane exit, just popping you out after turn 1. But no problems there for Remco as Brainstew there hanging off on the right-hand side, coming through turn 4. Again, no problems for the Dutchman as he soars through the opening section at his home Grand Prix. Coming up out of 6 through 7 and then into 8. This fast right-hander where we've seen a few people caught out on the exit here.
No!
It's going to happen again. Remco with a beautiful save, a perfect 360 for the Dutchman. But he won't be happy that that's how he's ended his first flying lap.
A little bit of quick reaction there to get him spun around into a 360, and well, that is potentially going to impede some drivers behind, but he is trying to pull off as best he can as all of the drivers flow through behind him to get laps on the board. Best mate in the Mercedes is potentially going to be the first runner to set a time here. He might be coming in. No, he's hugging it to the inside, of course. What's it going to be? A 108.933 to open things up. And to put that into perspective, we saw a 108.888 in Tier 3. I'm trying to recall what it was in Tier 2 yesterday. It was just shy of, I think, a 108.86. Best mate quite tight to that already. Yar, Mark, Ben setting times.
Yara 109.2 on the mediums. That's a very, very nice time there as mediums start to come through. Magnetar a 108.9 on the softs though, and Brownie as well, only a 24. So a problem there somewhere. The McLaren, maybe like you said, found himself behind the spin of Remco, but again, it seems a little bit too late for that. So I wonder what happened there to the McLaren at some point around his lap.
Cars and Freeware are following each other into the pit lane, while Shenjie, meanwhile, in the other AlphaTauri flies through into Sector 3.
And again, we've seen it a lot this week where people are starting out their runs in qualifying on the mediums, sort of feeling it out, and you get this lot of time here in Zandvoort with the short lap time, similar to what we have in Austria, where the 18 minutes is very, very accommodating. A 109.650 for Shenjie. So still, all of these medium runners off of Yar's pace by quite a lot here. As Yakak, a 108.7 fastest lap time so far for the session. Very nice. And that's Candy King slotting at home in P4 at 109.171, which is a bit concerning for the Red Bull, given that Yar there is only, a tenth and a half down on the mediums. So very, very nice from him. Brownie, well, there's a big improvement for the German, a 108.986 to put himself just ahead of his teammate Magnetar there. It's the second row lockout at the moment for McLaren, but it's early days. Very few times set on the softs. We'll see how everything, follows through. Wanlu right now in the Williams starting a flyer.
Well, Wanlu, 18th on the timing tower right now. A number of drivers yet to set laps. We saw quite a few come into the pit lane there. as well. 12 drivers with times on the board here. 12.5 minutes remaining. Or just in and around there. We might have a little bit of desync here on our side.
Oh, one Lou. Oh, he's out.
That is not good at all. The Williams, my oh my. This is the second day consecutively you and I have seen a major crash like this. Yesterday it was it Izir in the AlphaTauri. Not good there for your confidence coming into a race.
I don't know if it's just people pushing too hard on the car, but this track is catching everyone out, and we've gone through all the tiers, and it's continuing here. And, you know, tier one of the fastest divisions we've got, obviously now as well, Champions is up there too. But these drivers, Jeff, they're some of the best around, and they're still getting caught out here by this track. Fred going P2 there in the Aston Martin, where he finished last week.
Ooh.
So 108.8, so nice time from him. And I wonder whether there was a little bit of a hold up there for freeware behind the Aston Martin.
I was just checking in with Remco, and he's dropped his lap, just heading into Sector 3. Meanwhile, Verdex coming through in the Williams, just out of the banking. Pushing tight to the inside across the line. Good for 7th position here, a 109.258.
The drivers now, everyone really out on track other than a few drivers, most on fires as well. So there is a little bit of a traffic potential here, although F1 does look fairly spaced out as of right now. We'll see whether Freeware wraps out his up in the AlphaTauri as he comes out of the final corner. He is going to wrap it out, but I wonder if he's going to go again here. It's P6 or 109 flat, so maybe not getting caught up as much as maybe I thought there was in the opening stages of his lap. So a good banker nonetheless for the German.
On with Yar right now. He just came very tight to the rear of Dimitriou on an outlap presently in the Red Bull. Now pushing through Sector 2 into Sector 3 for the Aston Martin. What a improvement coming through. Of course, his previous time was set on the mediums.
And it was a very, very competitive time on the mediums. I do believe the fastest we've seen all evening. I think that was Ben hopping into P3 at 108.9. There goes Yar, 108.646.
Very good run there. Just behind him, Dimitriou starting a lap, and there's a variety of drivers coming through right now. Some tow coming through the McLarens. Or perhaps, no, well, Magnetar just beginning a run to the line. Brownie letting him through.
Yeah, Brainsuit, last week's race winner. He's out on a lap at the moment as well. Currently P10 for the Italian. 109.2. So a little bit of time to find there. 3/10 though. There's a lot of drivers on that 108.9 there. There's 5 drivers right now on that exact time, and then there's, you know, Fred on a 108.8 who's not far off as well, and Freeware as well on the 109 flat. So a very, very competitive top 10 right now. Here comes Brainsuit. He's coming straight into the pits, not happy with the lap. Didn't look like it was going to be too bad though. The Italian not happy with it for whatever reason.
Eruption coming through now into Sector 3. Not sure what happened there with Brainstew. His teammate Jack just started in front of him. Brainstew maybe being picky right now. He's in 11th position. Maybe he wants to just see how he holds that position for the next few minutes. It's not the worst position to find yourself in here in the Netherlands. Eruption. Nice improvement there. Nearly 8/10 found for the Mercedes. He finds himself into 3rd position provisionally as he pulls off to the inside just on the pit lane exit. And that allows Brownie through to begin a flyer. We saw Magnetar flying. However, it does not look like he improved. Brownie will be looking to do something different to find that improvement.
Yeah, Yakek right now, currently P2 at 108.7. He's flying out of the final corner. We'll see where he can go now as we come through. It's a small improvement on 108.670. Getting close, but not quite good enough to beat Yard's time there. We've just gone through under the 8-minute mark. So 10 minutes down, 7 and a bit to go, which at this short track we've already mentioned, but plenty of time to get some laps in.
Brownie finding a bit of time through Sector 2. He's just coming through into the penultimate turn of his lap. A 108.986 is where he is looking to improve. What can he pull through out of 14? Tight to the line. The German driver, he finds a 10th, and look at how tight the margin is. That shot him all the way to 5th position. We take a look at the intervals now from Yar down through to 17th position. The separation on this grid is 1 second.
Yeah, it is so tight out there right now, and on a grid that's compared to those mistakes that we've seen already. One Lu obviously out of this, but Remco as well still struggling in that Haas down with a 133.3. Obviously that is going to be a problem lap there. We've seen him spin already. As Verdex now will be next across the line. We'll see what he can do. It's P5 for him. The Williams on 108.881. Just 2,000th drift ahead of Brownie's current best time.
The home driver, Remco van Putten, a 108.796, shooting himself into 4th position. He'll be happy to finally get that lap across. Scars on a flyer. Ben just has begun.
Candy King just finished out on 108.891 to find a near 3/10 improvement. Slots him into P8.
Things are really ramping up here. Fred now, he has just begun a run. Someone's had an issue here.
Larson on an outlap, spun out of the penultimate corner.
Take a look for damage. Right wing seems intact. What we see here and what is actually going on can very well be a different story. Scars now, he does have a little bit of improvement according to the sector split, but he is going to be coming into the pit lane. There goes Brain Stew across the line into 3rd position with a 108.670, and I think he just set the exact same time as his teammate.
He did indeed, and it's a miraculous thing, and the two teammates even more unlikely, and they're 2-3 right now, so the Alfa Romeo squad will be happy. They haven't beaten Yar, who's also flying. I think he set a purple sector 2, so he could be on for an improvement again here, the Spaniard. Well, there's a 108.512 strift, nearly 1.5 tenths found, and there's still time in this session for potentially one more lap here. If they've got the tyres for it, some of them might still have reserved one set back. Obviously, we saw the mediums earlier on.
Mark.
So Yar might even be able to go faster.
Mark now pushing a 109.595, the time for him. Where does he bring it? Well, he hasn't been able to find that improvement. He's going to start another run, surely.
Eruption on a flyer coming through on a sector 1. A little bit of an improvement there for him as well. That would be enough already to see him past Shenjie, who's on an in-lap, I believe. So time to find there, and if he finds a 10th, we'll see him past both of the Alfa Romeos as well. We'll see what the split is as he crosses the timing line here. Down into the top, still just under a 10th, but that would be just enough if he could keep sector 3 as good as or better than his previous best. He would go past both of the Alfa Romeos on that identical 108.670. Mercedes coming out of the final quad, getting a bit of a tow from Brownie here. I don't know whether that's going to cost him a little bit, though, to the line, and it might have done.
Well,
Brownie obviously wants to beating himself.
Well, that's off the racing line. So, I don't know what the... I don't know how that would work, if that's a block or not. If S-mate, he's pushing. The other Mercedes, what can he find? He finds 6th position, a 108.779. Things on this grid are very tight.
Yeah, and a mistake for those at the top on these last few runs could cost them a lot of potential positions, because it's time for a lot of drivers here to improve, and they don't need to find much to get up into the higher positions, given how tight it is already. Ben's caught it in the pit lane. He is done with the session here. Two minutes left, so plenty of time to get an improvement in another lap.
Here comes Brownie. He's just begun. We saw him taking his time earlier. Scars has just begun as well. Dimitriou, 17th position on the timing tower, has just started a flyer. Who can we find that is going to be crossing the line on a flyer right now? Best mate will not be finding improvement. He'll be flying into the pit lane. Behind him, it will be Jack in 2nd position provisionally, starting a run. Him and Brainstew, his teammate, have the same time presently on the timing tower.
A lot of drivers calling it early in the pit lane as well, Striff. They are obviously, there isn't, because there's so much time, you could use all of your tires already, but we've seen the track evolution in this pretty powerful. So in these last few moments, the track might be a little better than it was a couple minutes ago, when some of them already retired. Eruptions called it quits now as well. As we come through into the closing stages, all of the top 3 are currently flying, as well as Shenjie just starting a fly in 5th.
On board with Yar now, pushing through Sector 2. Big snap through in Sector 2. He's spun the Aston Martin.
Well, he won't be happy about that. His teammate coming through on him now. Fred currently in 9th place. They're looking to improve on that. Yakak to the line. Isn't able to capitalize on the mistake, though. He doesn't even improve himself. Only 9 thousandths down. Brainstew, though, he's up a 10th and could see himself past his teammate. Has he found enough, though, through the final sector to get past Yar as well? Here comes the Italian. It's not. It's close, but it's not quite close enough. Shenjie, can he do anything? Well, I think Fred will beat him to the line. He's down in 12th right now, though. He's been beaten by a couple of other drivers. Here comes the Aston Martin into the DRS zone to take him down to the line. Where does he go? It's P3. It's a 108.6. Could Shenjie find anything? Yes, he does. He drops the Aston Martin back down a place. A 108.618 for the American. And once again, Striff, it looks like it's going to be a good week for Aston Martin and Alfa Romeo, if qualifying is anything to indicate it by.
Most definitely. Scars right now in the Ferrari, pushing out of turn 14 to the line. What does he find? He finds nearly 2/10. 15th position is where he will finish this session. Still some drivers potentially flying here. Verdex in the Williams. Does he have an improvement through in Sector 3? Not looking like it right now. And I think that actually finishes out our qualifying session. The rest of the cars on track, more than likely AI controlled. Freeware, I think he's out of fuel here, or quite close to it. So we have Yar, Brainstew, and Shenjie, our top 3 here at the finish of qualifying. And what a split it was from 1st position down to 14th. Less than 4/10. Less than 4/10 in it. Very, very, very fast. And all the way down to Lars in 1.2. We have Moon joining us in the other Haas. I don't believe he had an opportunity to get a lap in, and One Lu had that unfortunate crash, seeing him out of the qualifying session.
Yeah, no time set and crashing out so early as well. It means he's just been sitting, not doing any laps, and not getting that muscle memory, warmed up as nicely as you would do if you were qualifying all the way down to the line, but it is the Aston Martin of Yar out in front only by, well, under 2/hundredths of a second. Brains you there, last week's race winner in P2. Shenjie a 10th behind in P3, and then Fred in the other Aston Martin starts fourth ahead of the other Alfa Romeo in P5. So constructors battle still continuing, but we did see mistakes from Yar in that last lap, spinning out into the gravel trap. Eruption starts 6th ahead of Magnetar in 7th. Verdex, best mate, and Remco Van Putten in his home race rounds out the top 10, and we'll see the tyres and the rest of the grid in just a moment on the formation lap. I don't think we had a weather report either, Shift, so we might get a little bit of a surprise here if we see some rain.
Well, I'd love to see it. I imagine Remco Van Putten has just shot that idea into the... Well, no rain. It's dry, according to Remco. And, of course, welcome to the Netherlands, where we are going to see these 20 racers do battle. And it was a great split through down in qualifying. My name is Striffium, here from Canada. Joining me from the UK, Unicorn. 36 laps, the duration, of course, here for the Dutch Grand Prix, round 2 of the Tier 1 action. And, well, we've seen it all week long. Drivers have really struggled around here. We even saw a couple of struggles in the qualifying. I wonder how it's going to go for this one. Of course, let us know who you've got on the podium and for the potential win in the chat. Give us your predictions. And, of course, I always love to ask, how many safety cars do you think we're going to see in this race?
Well, I think at least one has to be the answer there, judging by what we've seen already this week. We've seen more than one in a couple of races. So we'll see what happens here in Tier 1, of course. Let's have a look at that tyre situation as well. It's, as per usual, a soft-medium split. The top 10 all on softs, the bottom half all on the mediums. That top 10 again, Yar, Brainstew on the front row, Shenjie and Fred on the second, Yakek in 5th, Eruption, Magnetar, Verdex, Bestmate, and Remco Van Putten round out the top 10. Then on the mediums and outside the top 10, we've got Ben in the Ferrari ahead of Freeware in the AlphaTauri. Brownie, as there's a problem already, it's Remco Van Putten's drift.
Yeah, I think he just saw a buddy of his over there on the side of the track. He wanted to say hi. He's getting things back around now. You know, it's his home circuit. He's got friends at the track today.
Maybe a slow donut. There's a pre-celebration for things to come, but I doubt he's too happy with how that's gone for him. He's going to have to catch back up. But back to who we've got Brownie in 13th, Candy King in 14th, Scars starts 15th ahead of tonight's only reserve, Dimitri there in 16th, Mark in the Alpine ahead of his teammate Larsen starts 17th and 18th. Moon didn't set a qualifying lap, having joined late on in the session, but starts 19th ahead of one Lou, who crashed out before setting a lap time. So he comes into this with a huge knock to his confidence, you would imagine.
Yeah, most definitely. It's not good whenever you see that, and of course, when you've had an opportunity to potentially watch the races through the week, of course, this is the 6th race now of the round 2 campaign.
As well, Striff.
Oh, wow. Well, fortunately, no damage to these drivers of any kind under these formation laps, and better to do it now than later. As we now approach the grid, Freeware is the last to do so in the AlphaTauri. Yar, Brainstew, Shenjie, aka, well, not aka, it's Jonathan Shen in 3rd position. Fred in 4th there on the 2nd row as well, and well, everything calm now as these engines get ready to fire up to extreme capacity.
Oh, we got
5 red lights. Oh, here we go now. How's the start for Brainstew? It's very good for the Italian, already on the inside into turn 1 now. The Aston Martin, Fred on his teammate. A little bit of a shake there. Shenjie's really going to have an opportunity to push through now. Jayak has the Mercedes of Eruption behind him with Verdex quite tight. Things exchanging for Remco Van Putten, already making up a few positions, and he's not stopping there. He's already looking very tight to the rear of Verdex, and there's an exchange with Brownie and Ben behind, as well as Moon and Larsen. And Moon and Larsen have come together. Moon's dropped back, it would seem. Fred,
Fred as well.
That's not good for the Aston Martins at all.
I don't know which Ferrari went into him. I think it was
Ben.
It was Ben, yeah. He's dropped back to his teammate with damage to his front wing, and the Red Bull of Candy King's just gone straight off. Coming through 11 or into 11, he never made it to the corner. But he's got damage as well on that front wing, presumably caught up in that incident, but Fred spinning and then getting slammed by the Ferrari. Wouldn't have done any favors to his car. But my, oh my, the drama that we've seen all week long continues here. Brainstew fastest lap as he gets from second into first place here. Remco Van Putten dropping to Magnetar here, according to the timing tab, but it hasn't happened on track, so there's a bit of an issue.
Yeah, a little bit of a timing tower play up at the minute. Things in tight formation as we round ourselves through lap 2.
Early pit stops coming through for the bottom 4 as the timing tower just sorts itself out up at the top. But just looking at the track map, Strift, the front 2 already starting to lead the way, and Shenjie looks to be pulling away from Yakak as well a little bit, but right now he is still stuck in that DRS train when it gets into full swing.
It's going to be a big train for some time, and then you're going to see DRS come into play, and risks are going to be taken by a lot of these racers to try and find that track position, especially for maybe some of these soft runners earlier on. Then you're going to see those tires start to drop off, and they're not going to want to take any unnecessary risks with the looming medium runners behind them.
Yeah. And we've seen what as Fred's had another problem, and that, I believe, is on fresh tires and a fresh front wing, which is no longer anymore. Well, yeah, it's missing an end plate.
Not good. Not good at all. Now last week,
he's going to be a lap down.
Yeah, that's really going to be unfortunate for him if he gets. It's a very, very tough place to find yourself in that kind of situation earlier on. I was going to mention Shenjie. We saw him last week struggle in Bahrain once he got into dirty air. He was leading from the front of the grid in those races until he dropped behind whoever came through and overtook him, right? And then that dirty air cost him. Right now, he doesn't have too much dirty air to contend with, but Jayak doing very well to keep him under pressure with this train behind. We're going to have timing tower updates here, I think, in just a few moments, as Brainstew, I think, is going to trigger it to update when he crosses the line.
And right now it is just sort of these front few, but Yakak on Shenjie getting through very nicely with the help of DRS there. Ooh. But Shenjie's looking to come back through into turn 1.
What?
And does so.
Switch back from the Alpha Tauri. That was a beautiful move. Jayak getting a little bit loose there in turn 1. Shenjie sees that door left wide open. That was nice. We like those, George.
Absolutely, it was clean as a whistle. I'm surprised Yakak must have just misjudged it coming into turn 1 with that much speed. Obviously DRS there helping out a ton as there's a problem for Larsen. It would seem the Alpine is spinning around out of a braking board wreckage. He's had a spin just coming out of turn 7 and 8, and we've seen that one catch a lot of drivers out already this week. Also something we've seen happen, Shenjie and Yakak fighting. Well, it's just giving breathing room to the two up front. They're not fighting as much as I'm sure Yar would like to be. They're just sort of working together right now. Just not having that battle and not costing each other time to the cars behind who are having this fight, and it's just going to make their lives so much easier at the front. And Yar, having already spun in qualifying, will probably be wanting to relish in the opportunity to just sort of have a fairly simple race at this stage. Not get too involved. Strategy here, very, very important.
It's really staying heated here between Shenjie and Jayak, the same as with Brainstew and Yar, with that half a second gap. I just wonder at what point we see a trigger pull from either that Aston Martin or, of course, this Alfa Romeo that we're on board with now. DRS now for Jayak, pushing for that third position, but nothing doing just yet. I might see him wait here until that first turn. It's a better opportunity, maybe. Maybe the same thing for the Aston Martin.
Pretty much the only opportunity we have here at Zandvoort. Yar has a little look up the inside, but he is far too far back, and well, Yakak as well, not getting anything done into turn one. Best mate might have had an opportunity in turn one. Had he not had a snap coming out of turn 11 earlier on the last lap, he was looking like in a very nice position to go and attack the McLaren, but a little mistake creeping into his game. Freeware wasn't close enough to capitalize, and it has brought the German back into things as he seems to be struggling a little bit for pace here. They are pulling away from him that front sort of bit of the train, although there is a split already forming. Remco there falling back a tiny bit, but he's up 3 places from where he started this race. Mark's up 6 right now.
Very good to see overtakes and position gains like that. Jayak looking at Shenjay, still nothing doing just yet. We have the rear wing view right now of this, and we'll jump on with the Alfa Romeo as he just continues to pressure Shenjay, and you see that gap growing to Yar ahead. Just about 2.5 seconds is where it's holding station. Do we see the push? I think we're going to see it here. Shenjay holding off on that outside. He's not going to fight this too hard. A very clean-cut move there for the Alfa Romeo. Battery and DRS and utilization now eruption within half a second of the Alpha Tauri. And you really don't want to fight too much when you're in a train like this. It can definitely cost you. And you have a little bit of a better opportunity to fight when you're at the front of that train. But if you're within the middle of it, it's a very, very large risk, because if you drop DRS, you can find yourself exposed heavily.
In some ways, it's just sort of, it hurts your finishing position quite substantially. What we're not seeing right now, though, is sort of any merging of the tyre strategies. The top 9 are still all on softs, then from 10th all the way down to 15th, it's still mediums, and then the bottom 4 all on hards. So no variation there in what we're seeing. Obviously, Larsen on 1 lap fresher than the 3 drivers in front, but other than that, strategy right now, pretty much as you would expect at this stage in the race. We'll probably see pit stops start to creep in about 4 laps or so, 3 or 4 laps. As there's a problem, it seems the ass of Moon has come off. I don't think there's any damage on the front, but positions have been lost for the reserve.
Yeah, very unfortunate position to find yourself in here early on. However, of course, he'll have about 2.5 seconds, 3 seconds the gap to the drivers ahead. He can still get within that car of Larsen. Things still holding quite tight in the middle of this grid, all the way to 3rd position. Down, well, all the way from 12th to 3rd. Right now, there is a massive train, so we have some medium runners in it, and then you have Scars, Dimitriou in a little bit of a duel as Candy King and Larsen exchange. Larsen with a bit of a slip coming out of turn 1 after that. He does have a bit of a tire advantage, 3 laps of advantage for him on these hards.
Yeah, Remco Van Putten looks a bit of pressure. Oh, what's happening here? Yar! I don't know if he's hit the wall coming out of the final corner, but he is causing a yellow flag. He is dropping back as well. No visible damage on the Aston Martin, but he's in to 5th place, Drift. And well, I wonder what conditions his tires are in right now.
Scars
well, that is a huge drop.
Scars pushing on the rear of this Red Bull.
Something else to point out as well. Now that Yar's had that mistake, it's an Alfa Romeo 1-2.
Remco within 0.2. Hard to interrupt a Vertex right now. They were coming down the hill, and I swear I had thought Remco was putting it up the inside. A little bit of mind games.
Yeah, just doing that thing. We've seen this for, multiple games, multiple seasons now, where
We
you
have.
just put your car and threaten them, even if you're not intending to do it. That just sort of positional marker that a lot of these drivers will utilize, just because it's not too easy to get an idea of where cars are without having those around. It just makes the other driver question it a little bit. Have that thought that you don't expect it to come up your inside, but the potential is there. Best mate Magnetar side by side coming out of turn 1. The Mercedes looks like he's got the better of the McLaren, and he has done there as they go through into turn 4 now, and it doesn't look like Magnetar's going to find a way back past, but a little slide out from the rear of the Mercedes there. But it is P8 secured for the time being, and Magnetar drops to the back of the soft runners, and Freeware's doing very well here to hold as he is on these mediums, so we're hoping he doesn't drop too far back into the clutches of Brownie. Right now, doing very well. Soft runners, won't be too long now until we see them into the pits.
No, definitely not. The softs really starting to lose the battle to the mediums right now. They're really going to begin to degrade to the point where these mediums going to have such a fighting edge. Yar continuing to struggle in that Aston Martin, as we see on board with Vertex. That Aston Martin losing the rear end.
Well, maybe it's a tyre problem. Eruption looking to fake the pit stop there. Really convincing as Yakak and Shenjay. They're going out into turn 1 again, and this, to be honest, it's not bad for Alfa Romeo, because, well, the longer Shenjay puts up a fight with Yakak, the more of a gap Brainstew gets in the lead of things, and well, Yakak will want to be in front going into the pit window. It looks unlikely now, given that it's looming over them. It won't be too long now, and tyre management here might have been what's given Shenjay that run. He's also got a big ERS advantage. Yakak down at 10%. Shenjay still up in the 30s. Everyone else fairly even. There's a few drivers. Yar, best mate with a lot of ERS left to play with. That could serve them well.
Eruption closing very tight to Jayak now. Ooh, that was tight. That was tight. I don't know if he went over that line there. That would have been really close for that Aston Martin. Not Aston Martin, Alfa Romeo. That was quite the dive into that pit lane. Going for the undercut. Yar, Remco Van Putten, Vertex all following suit.
Yeah, a nice call. You expect that at this stage of the race onto the mediums. But obviously, for Yakak, it just means that Brainstew doesn't have to worry about the double stack and for his teammate behind. So he's got clear air. The two Mercedes, I don't know what they're doing. It's risky because one of them is going to have to go 1 lap longer, and which one it is, would expect it to be best mate. He could be a serious threat of being undercut here by about half the grid. And that is not a situation you want one of your drivers to be in, especially when DRS behind is being afforded to some medium runners. Freeware, Brownie, Mark, all close enough that they could get past him as well. Into the pits. They come, well, they're double stacking, and that is
ouch.
An atrocious bit of management.
Yeah, no
from the Mercedes
doubt.
squad.
No doubt. Well, that is a very interesting situation. Now, we've had an issue with Moon, and that's caused a safety car, potentially.
Well, this could be great news for
how
Shenjay,
did
who stayed out.
How did that cause a safety car? What happened
There's
to...
no debris. No
That's
one's
not...
out.
That can't have been Moon, surely.
Well, no one's out. No one's... I don't know if there's someone who's had a problem here. But I'm not seeing anyone who at first glance is safety car worthy.
Why have we had that come out? That is a very interesting development here. 13 laps of racing, 12 realistically, and we've had ourselves a safety car deployment.
And whatever it is, someone's saying that one of the Red Bulls spun in the final corner. Candy King is just coming out of the pits, and Demetrio is coming out. He's on fresh hards. Let's have a look if either of them changed their front wing. They didn't, so even then, surprising for a safety car. Shenjie in. His teammate might get double stacked here. It's the AlphaTauri squad ready for freeware. They're not quite. It's hard to the end for him, and he's going to lose out as a result of the double stack. So he'll be annoyed that Shenjie didn't pit at a more, a considerably earlier time with everyone else. But Shenjie, he's a lap fresher tires than most people. 2 laps fresher in some cases. He's in P2 as well, separating the 2 Alfa Romeos just as he was. That safety car helps him, not a lot, but just that little bit, getting that extra lap in with no quarrels. But
What an extremely interesting circumstance.
Best Mate will be kicking himself for not staying out now, Striff.
No question about it. No question about it.
A double stack looking worse by the second for freeware. It's not cost him too much, but he could have been, up in that top 10, near and around Brownie. So, I mean, a little bit disappointing for the German here. But look at how tight this is. And still, the Alfa Romeo's looking quite nice. First and third right now. If it was to finish like this, obviously they would soar past Aston Martins to the constructors with Fred already out of it, being a lap down after 2 laps, and then I believe retiring in the pit lane. But safety car, lap 14, no one crashing out to cause it, and no debris either. And we saw yesterday cars, out in the gravel traps and not even a VSC.
It's a very interesting circumstance to find yourself in as a driver who gets caught in that circumstance. Freeware now in a very tough situation. Cars into the pit lane. Getting off the hards onto some mediums.
It's an interesting corner on a track that's so hard to overtake at. That's a bold decision to put even more cars in front of you. I wonder whether he would have communicated there with his teammate as just to say, where do you think I'll come out, given that Ben now just ahead of him? But even then, I don't know about that one, Striff. Throwing yourself at the back around that. Any other track where the mediums are, better and could afford, a little bit of overtaking compared to the hard runners. Sure, but here at Zandvoort, turn 1, really, your only, I'd say decent opportunity. I was going to say good, but it's not even that, reliable lap in, lap out. So a very, very interesting decision there from Scars. Obviously not fond of the hards even in the slightest, but we should be going green flag racing on lap 16 now that everyone's bunched up. And it'll be Brain Shoot, last week's race winner. It is leading the charge with Shenjie behind him, sandwiched between the 2 Alfa Romeos.
What a position to find yourself in. An alpha trio, if you will. Brain Stew, Jonathan Shen, Jayak there. Wonder what Shenjie is going to do about this now. Brain Stew getting ready to come in. When does the Italian say go? Shenjie will be looking for the best possible reaction he can find here. And you have to take a look at that telemetry, take a look at that throttle, and he's gone. All right, now Brain Stew to the line ahead of Shenjie. How's the brake been?
Well,
Yar, oh man. Very tight through turn 1. You don't want to be taking too many early risks there. A little bit of a slip off the curb. Remco Van Putten. Well, who's slipped? Mark. No, it's the timing tower playing a role, or is that just position exchanges? I can't tell.
Dropped a lot. Eruption just dropped a lot in turn 1 in that Mercedes now. Freeware Verdex coming side by side through sector 1. This is risky between the Williams and the German. And Freeware just coming out on top. Verdex getting off the track 3 seconds for his troubles as well, with Best Mate just behind. My, that was close to being a lot worse for the Williams. He's lucky to still be on track. let alone with the penalty. Then Wanlu exchanging positions there. The Ferrari up into 13th. And the two McLarens doing the dance as well. I wonder whether that was orchestrated given Magnetar on the superior tyre.
Best mate Vertex exchange right now. Mark looking on the inside, coming through 13. There wasn't a lot of space being left there, I gotta say. And man, oh man, if you are a fan of the Alpine, you're not going to be too thrilled about that. The Ferrari is round as well. Yellow flag up through sector 3. It's 3 wide into turn 1. There's almost a squeeze there. Who's on the inside? That is going to be one. Lou dropping out. And man, oh man, is Larson ever shaky. Moon through in 12th position. This restart has really provided some risk-taking from these racers, that's for sure. Brownie right now under threat from Eruption for 7th.
And Eruption, he's been holding this quite nice. He's just looking for a way past Brownie, who hasn't let up and is doing a great job at holding back the medium runners. For his teammate Magnetar, whom we saw them exchange down into turn 12 last lap. Let's see, Eruption pushing with a bit of ERS to try and get past Brownie. He's using a bit more of that battery. He's already down to 35%. And he's holding on right now. And obviously, DRS will be re-enabled in a moment here. But for now, Brownie just doing a stellar job keeping these guys at bay and giving his teammate breathing room. The DRS chain has already been broken. As Shenjie says the fastest lap, looking to hunt down Brainshoe and that P1. There's DRS being re-enabled as well. But Brownie is doing a great job to tear this DRS chain apart for his teammate, and also as a result, the top 6 as a whole.
Really presented a very interesting race with that random safety car. Of course, it's been a strategical thriller. Not too many wheel-to-wheel incidents, of course. We had that issue with Mark through turn 13. But not much coming to mind. A little bit of tight racing from all of these racers on the grid. But one thing's for certain, Brainstew has been leading this race for the majority. Shenjie there in second position, holding him now with the other Alfa Romeo. And it's a good little train here. Remco van Putten, the Dutchman, on the grid today, just dancing in and around that 1 second range. Essentially a second train forming on the rear of him.
And one thing I will say, I think Shenjie might have put a bit too much into that lap. Obviously, it keeps him within DRS range of Brainshoe, but he's not got a lot of ERS. There's a problem again. It looks like Mark is around in the Alpine as Eruption and Brownie. Well, the move's done this time for the Mercedes. Oh, and Brownie's teammate Magnetar facing the wrong way on the apex of turn 1. I think everyone's done very well to avoid that. I think there might have been a little tap between the McLaren and one of the Red Bulls, but Magnetar doesn't want him to tuck himself into the pit exit there. A very quick thinking maneuver from the McLaren to get himself as out of the way as possible in a very tricky place to do so when you're facing the wrong way.
Brownie right now finding himself under threat on these hards. Of course, he's on a bit of a different strategy here. These Mercedes drivers, Eruption, Bestmate. Eruption just overtook him. We've got Bestmate hunting him down just as well. Vertex is here. Bestmate, a little bit of a shake coming out, and he's not going to have the most ideal exit. Doesn't want to have too many of those. Vertex will be looking to take advantage, and Freeware is here in the train on the hards. Moon and Larson. Moon's really turned his race around.
And right now, it's not just, Brownie's done a lot for the cars ahead here, and he might be under threat from the other Mercedes. He's going to go to the inside a little late, but not going to face Bestmate. He's going to try to rally outside. Does he have the traction, though, in these mediums out of turn 1? Yes, he does. And he is ahead and just about. Brownie really tried to get his elbows out there. But Eruption, 2.2 seconds down on Remco. But Remco's dropped off of the front 4 quite substantially as well. So the train there really breaking up at the front. As for the mid-pack, well, it's still very, very close. The battle here for 7th is really heating up again as Vertex now putting Brownie under the same pressure he's felt from the Mercedes. As there's a yellow flag. Who is this? It's Larson, but this time it's an Alpine that's not bounced off the wall. He is out of the race strip, and he has really slammed it coming out of turn 8 there. On turn 9, sorry.
Well, the yellow flag still up in Sector 2. No VSC deployed, no safety car deployed. They used the safety car for potentially a different style of incident. Who knows? Car retirement not warranting safety car. Best mate interruption exchange into turn 1. Vertex on the rear of Brownie, on the inside of Brownie through turn 1. Brownie on the hards. He has been dropping, of course, the different strategy. But that does not mean he is not going to put up a fight against these racers. And he has been putting up a good fight to slow them down, even if it's just a 10th here and there. Good hard racing from everybody we've seen in these fights as well.
Yeah, and knowing when to back out in Sector 1 is so important because of how wrong it can go. We nearly saw it with Vertex and Freeware, but no, they kept that one clean. Vertex did pick up a 3-second though. As a result. But everyone else doing pretty well, like you say, keeping things as clean as possible. We do see, obviously, risks have to be taken here at Zandvoort if you want to climb through the grid as quickly as possible because of the difficult nature to overtake. But at the same time, you've got to manage that because there's no point of overtaking 3 cars to just spin trying to overtake the 4th and losing all of that time and more.
Exchange right now. Wanlu, Dimitriou into turn 1 right now. Dimitriou with that DRS push coming through on the inside. It's another fight with a Williams. And there we go. This time not Vertex, it's his teammate Wanlu. Nicely done.
And these drivers, you know, a little bit behind them as well. Scars, well, he saw him pit for the mediums off of the hards. I don't think that decision is going to pay off for him, given how far back he is, you know, on the likes of Brownie and Freeware. So I think he'll be disappointed that he's made that call, and he'll look back and, you know, learn from it, of course. You know, mistakes, they do happen, and as long as you learn from them, not the end of the world. But for round 2 here, a very, very disappointing result for Scars yet again. Looks like it will be another pointless result for the Ferrari. Eruption right now on his teammate. These two, they exchanged turn 1 previously. Are they going to do it again? No, it looks like Eruption will hold off.
Moon on the inside right now. Freeware and him getting a little bit of contact in it for a little bit of a rough battle as Freeware looks to hold on. He's around the outside. There's contact. Both cars spinning through into turn 3. Candy King is going to push his way through the yellow. Who else is going to net a position as a result? I'll tell you, a whole host of cars. My, oh my, net positions from Freeware there. I don't know if that was worth it to hold that or not. Of course, not a good position for Freeware now. And my, oh my, and just a quick shout out. Thank you very much, Sydney, for the 5 gifted subs. Greatly appreciate the support. Absolutely legend. Thank you.
And the, you know, luck coming on side for Moon there in that incident, sort of bouncing to the other side of the track, able to get the car around and through out of turn 4, only losing out to really Candy King there. Freeware on the other hand, though, like you mentioned, well, just losing a whole host of positions and time as well, so unlikely he will get those back. Right now, the closest gap on the grid is between the 2 Mercedes, I do believe. They do have Vertex sniffing their gearboxes, though, so he will be looking for a way through on the 2 Mercedes. And that might see, we'll see whether them playing fair with one another, you know, working for the constructors, it would seem, continues if they find themselves under increasing pressure for Vertex. If Eruption feels like he could go faster, does he then just go past best mate? We'll see how that sort of pans out, but right now they have been working well together. And for their sake, you hope that they can continue as well. Moon, well, he got lucky before. He won't get lucky again, it would seem, because he is around once more and bouncing quite aggressively over the curb there as well as he gets it turned around, almost loses the car. And I think he realized that. Tries to get out of the way of Magnetar and smashes the braking board as a result, getting off the track. Magnetar would have been having a bit of a worry there in the McLaren. Hasn't been the best of races for him. He's in no man's land as Moon has another problem. So I'm losing out to Mark as a result.
some team orders here. Clear as day. Absolutely clear as day here. Has it exposed Best Mate? Vertex has definitely made his presence known on the rear of one of the Mercedes now as Eruption has pushed through of Best Mate. Best Mate under immediate threat as a result. They did the exchange through the banking.
Well, it's a risky place to say the very least for an exchange. Let's see, how they continue. They haven't lost out to Vertex yet, as Moon calls it in the pit lane. We're on lap 25 of 36, so not long left now for the drivers. 3 drivers out of this. As the train up at the front, no exchanging in the top 4 for quite some time, Chef, but plenty of opportunity for it to do so. Thing is, Shenjay's having to use a lot more battery than Brainsjuice. Brainsjuice really controlling that pace up at the front right now, very, very nicely. And Yakak not really finding himself under too much pressure from Yar, and I think threatening Shenjay just enough as there's a bit of lag on my end.
Looking at Vertex right now, just holding Best Mate with everything he's got, and Brownie is just sitting patiently and waiting right behind them in 9th position, and he's got these hards, and we mentioned earlier in the race how these hards could potentially have that better grip, that better feeling at the end. We're lap 26 of 36 presently, watching some good fighting, some good action on track. You mentioned the top 4 have not had much separation, and everybody here looking to have consistent pace, not looking to take too many risks. I think everyone wants to just kind of flow through and hold station into the latter stages of the race when they'll have an opportunity to maybe take the risks that they need to take because it's either do or die for them. And now what's happened there, Ben, with a retirement? That's a crash, excuse me. That is a safety car, ladies and gentlemen. Into turn 3, the Ferrari is out of this race.
Remco's coming in. Vertex is in as well. The Mercedes haven't gone for it. It looks like most other drivers will. I'm surprised Candy King hasn't gone for the gamble here. His teammate, or reserve teammate for the evening, Dimitri, will take advantage. Soft's coming out of the garage for everyone else. A few people in the chat were discussing whether the risk was worth it for some of the hard runners. Well, the risk has just been averted here a little bit. We'll see what the front, the top 7 do. They haven't pitted. Some of them from 5th through 7th. So the 2 Mercedes and Candy King that decided against it already.
Something that has me scratching my head, and chat's taken notice here too as well, is Brownie's tires. He's picked the medium compound. Did he not have a set of softs available?
Well, if he did, surely it's a mistake, because the softs can definitely go to the end from here very, very comfortably. No risk involved at all. They'll probably feel all right at the end as well. We have not got long left in this race. Brainstew's got a big decision to make, because if he doesn't come in, that offers the opportunity for everyone else behind him to come in. He is coming in, though. Shenjay is staying out. He is going for track position. Yakak's going to follow him, so the Alfa Romeos have both decisions covered. Brainstew, well, he's just getting to the box now, and that's going to lose the position to both the Mercedes as well, I think. He's out. Where is everyone else? So, yeah, he has dropped from lead of things down to 5th. There's not long left. It's a tricky track to overtake at, but the softs will be a bit faster right now by, a fair margin. The problem is, it's Zandvoort strip.
Yeah, that's exactly it. It's not the most ideal circuit to overtake. Whereas some circuits, you'll see those softs have so much, range where they can overtake and you can cut through a grid. Zandvoort is not one of those circuits necessarily, because you can place your car just right. You can hold the driver up. It's really, really hard to push through here, because not any of these drivers, especially in the top 4 on these mediums, are going to be budging easy.
The only person who that might not be true for is Yakak, if he can let Brainstew through. If Brainstew can get through to the Mercedes, Yakak, I would imagine, would let his teammate go for the win if he's able to, without putting his race in jeopardy. There is potential for team orders there if they're working together. Not every teammate pairing does, work together like you see some other drivers do. These two Mercedes squad, they've been working together, but neither one went to cover the soft strategy, which is bolted. They've gone for the track position. We'll see whether it works out for them here. I don't think it will finish 3-4 for them, but either way, a great haul of points looking to come their way. The safety car's going around again as a result of Freeware, who's all the way down in 16th, but this safety car, a welcome moment for him, an opportunity to catch back up.
Yeah, if he wasn't able to catch back up, that'd be a different story. But, of course, he is able to. The AlphaTauri having another crack after we saw him have that issue earlier on through turn 2 and 3.
Also, a couple of people coming across the chat to say that Brownie didn't have the option to change the softs. The game selected the strategy, and then Jeff just phoned up for a little chat, it would seem, and as a result, Brownie now lumped on those mediums, and points will be very, very difficult to acquire.
I don't think it's the worst call in the world, to be very honest, and I'll tell you why. He can do whatever he wants to them, whereas the softs, if you fight too hard, if you take too many risks, you light them up too bad, Brownie's there.
I think the pace loss at the front start is going to be too much. He's going to be out of the points too early. He might get 1 or 2 positions back in the late stages, but I think it'll be down in P12. And, well, no points available there. So I think it's an unfortunate mishap for him. Obviously not his fault by the sounds of it.
Well, the safety car is...
got the notification.
No, it's going around again. Benjay following the safety car is... It would just appear that...
I think Freeware might have lifted off. I don't know whether coordination there between the AlphaTauris to make the safety car go around one more, which is obviously beneficial for Shenjie up at the front because it gives Brainstew 1 less lap to come back.
Yeah, well, team tactics and Freeware's pitting.
Well, he's trying to extend the safety car even more.
Yeah, I think he's really, really working hard on that one now. But I don't think it's going to give him what he's asking for.
Oh, he's going to catch up far.
We've always seen... Now, this is what... Now, this... Back in my day, no, this is what you would call a clever usage of game mechanics. And... just have to see how it pans out here. He's actually caught right up. So...
Yeah, I don't think anything, unless he didn't even accelerate, he would have caught this one. But... I don't think there'll be too many kind words here with Tauris after this one with that strategy, particularly from Brainstew and Yar. They're going to lose out big time as a result of this one.
Well, it is now coming in, so regardless of whoever wants to do what, we are going to be going back to green flag racing on lap 31, giving us essentially a 5-lap sprint, 6-lap sprint to the end. Shenjie, well, we saw him on the rear of Brainstew earlier as Brainstew led a restart. And, well, Remco Van Putten and Verdex would appear to have had some capacity of a collision.
It's a light tap to the rear, I think. Nothing major, and I think
gone.
Shenjie's gone.
Yeah, he did fire it away as quickly as he could here. Remco on the rear of Yar as we get across the line is already within a 1/10 of the Aston Martin. One of the tightest gaps on grid right now, of course, is Brainstew and Bestmate as the soft runner looking around the outside of turn 3, looking to get things done as quickly as he can. What a move. That has actually cost Bestmate so dearly. He's dropped like a stone because he had a spin. That front left end plate is damaged. Brainstew, 4th position, on the hunt for now the 2nd Mercedes.
Yeah, well, this little time in the section in the race left does force these drivers on the softs who want to fight their way back through to get their elbows out. I don't actually know if there was contact between the two cars. There was a little snap from Brainstorm. I'm assuming that would have been something similar. Yar looking up the inside of turn 12 might have cost him here because Remco is now side by side with the Aston Martin. No way through, though, for the Dutchman in his home Grand Prix. There is a penalty, though, on that Aston Martin. And Remco coming out of the final turn looks like he has a great exit here. Batteries are being burned. Shenche, though, has a great lead right now. And Brainstew not able to get eruption into turn 1 here. Might cost him in the end of things. And Yakak not able to fight Shenche at the moment, it would seem. All of this leads to Brainstew just having such a poor time as best mate into the pit lane. Get that fixed. Well, it's a retirement there late on in the race, but Brainstew needs to get a move on. He has to get eruption. You'd say turn, out of turn 11. We've seen that a couple times with a tire advantage, and he's going to get very, very close through 10. Here he comes. Can he find the traction here? Find a fast exit out of 11. Get it done before 12. You can't really get it done through it. Doesn't have DRS to help him along yet. Is there a lunge? No, there's not. The next lap is key. Surely we see the move then. Or maybe even into turn 1 this lap. Well, then next lap, of course. But the run needs to come here. He's had a poor exit, though, out of the penultimate corner. Now through the final one, finding speed with the ERS. DRS is now enabled as well. An eruption blinking. He is out of battery already, and it's late on the brakes for the Italian in turn 1 around the outside, and the softs will carry him through. Brainstew now, his teammate, will he let him go through turn 12? I think it's Brainstew's only shot at victory here, but it's still on for him, Striff.
Yeah, definitely. Yar right now. He's looking on the inside as we come up and then down the hill. Oh my, what a move coming out of him in the Aston Martin. That was some fireworks.
Absolutely. You've got to be bold in these late stages, like we were saying. When it's this late on in the session, you've got to get moves done like this. Now, though, this creates a problem for Alfa Romeo because Yakak can't freely let Brainstew go here because now Yar is barking up the rear of the Alfa Romeos, and they've got to make sure that they mitigate the damage here. But surely down into turn 1, they have to let Brainstew go. Otherwise, the race win is just going to slip from their fingers. So Yakak now, he has to back off just a little bit, I think, just to let Brainstew through. Well, the battery is still being deployed for Yakak. He is fighting his own race, it would seem. And Yar's just set fastest lap, so they know he's coming. Unless they can let Brainstew through here so that Yar can't get through until, the end of the lap. Give Brainstew some breathing room, maybe a switchback here, but they're not exchanging the Alfa Romeos. Shenjay's still there, but they are running out of time.
Freeway and Mark having a little bit of a battle of their own at the tail end of this grid right now. 14th and 15th up for grabs on track between these two. Wheel to wheel as we come up and over the hill. It's still wheel to wheel as we come down the hill. Freeway on the outside. That's the Alpine on the inside. My oh my, it's still wheel to wheel as we come down and out. Holy, what a battle there as Eruption and Remco Van Putten start to have a battle of their own. Remco on the softs pushing through in 5th position. He does not want to get held up any further here. It's his home Grand Prix. He has no penalties. He's within 1 second, of course, of the driver ahead in Yar with the penalty. Yar holding with Brainstew. Brainstew does not want to lose this race win that is potentially in his grasp. His teammate, Yayak, surely he drops off a touch here. He doesn't have a choice. The battery not in it for him.
Well, Striff, these guys aren't working together. I saw them tap through turn 10 into 11, and it nearly cost them both here. They are lucky because Brainstew went into the rear of his teammate here because those softs have got so much pace, and now he's only got this lap and the next to find a way past Shenjay. And we saw how well Eruption was able to defend against the fresh softs, and now Yakak's put so much battery in here that he's going to have no defense for Yar. So the Alfa Romeos, I don't think they're working together at all. Brainstew's there. He will have one shot, really, into turn 1 on Shenjay. That is it. Freeware's had another issue. He's facing the wrong way, getting that spun around. Eruption dropping to Vertex as well. The medium runners starting to drop off now. Brainstew He needs to get this into turn 1. This really is his opportunity. And Yakak's getting under pressure from Yar. Yar does have a penalty here. So that is a bit of a saving grace for the Alfa Romeo squad. But Brainstew, can he get it done into turn 1? ERS is firmly in his favor. Shenjay's red light is blinking. Here he goes, fastest lap of the race to boot on the penultimate lap, and a great run down into turn 1. Behind him, his teammate is exchanging with the Aston Martin. He drops back, but he just needs to stay within the penalty range of Yar there. Does Shenjay lose out any more, though? Because if he gets past by Yar, that could make him vulnerable for Yakak if Yakak is able to follow through. But it seems unlikely here on the last lap of the race. Remco Van Putten at his home Gormley could still be on for a podium if he finds a way past Yakak and stays within Yar's penalty range shift. The Dutchman could be on a podium at home.
Yeah, and that would be thrilling for him here in this division. He's with yeah, with a big snap out wide. Remco Van Putten looks for the door left open on the inside. And, well, what was dreams a moment ago is now, what a bad situation to find yourself in on the final lap of your home race. Remco Van Putten is going to be devastated about that situation. Brainstew now coming out of the banking is going to be, once again, ladies and gentlemen, 2 weeks in a row, our race winner here in Tier 1. Jonathan Shen rounds out second with Jayak in the other Alfa Romeo. Third position. What a race. What a race. Yar fourth. Eruption fifth. We have Brownie in sixth. Dimitri seventh position.
Another double podium.
Yeah, that's wild. The Alfa Romeo is really on a charge here.
What a race.
We're going to get interviews in just a few moments with our top 3. Curious to hear from both the Alfa Romeos. I know you are about team tactics on this one. And then we'll have to see how things go for... we have the Champions Division on Saturday. Wow. Wow.
Yeah, I don't know whether we're going to be talking about team tactics of these two. They seem that they were fighting very, very harsh. But we'll get their take on it, of course. And Shenjay as well. They're in P2. I'm sure he'll be happy with that. He'll be up a place in the driver's standings into P2 ahead of Fred, obviously crashing out of this one. Well, crashing out a little bit and then retiring in the pit lane after crashing a second time. Brainstew, though, P2 on the grid, P1 in the race with fastest lap as well. That's 26 points. He'll be on 51 after just 2 races. That's 1 point away, Shift, from perfection. So he will be utterly thrilled with his season's start. Yeah. Shenjay, I don't think he'll mind either with P2 in the driver's standings as well.
No, things are really, really heating up in the driver's standings now as Brainstew takes a commanding lead of things with his back-to-back win. Now a winner in Bahrain and a winner in, of course, the Netherlands. And in a week where we've seen so many drivers struggle, he started in second position in this race. He showed great consistency. You see that fastest lap at 10.3.11 there. It's a good drive. Just a really good drive from him. And we saw good strategy calls from him in the end. Things landed in his favor with safety cars potentially as well. We have so much to digest from this race, and we'll be talking to these guys in just a few seconds.
Yeah, and I'm sure, we'll talk to him about the move on best man as well, obviously. For him, not going well there with Brainstew after that safety car restart, but Brainstew, I'm sure, hopefully able to shine some light on what happened there between the two. It didn't look like there was much, if any, contact between them, but a lot for the stewards to digest as well after this race.
Okay, so one of the Alfa Romeos, Mr. Jayak, can't take part in the interview, which is totally all right, as we're going to jump in now with Mr. Shen J, aka Jonathan Shen. Welcome. It is once again a interview for you, as it was an interview last week in Bahrain. You get to come and have a chat in the second round. Things off to a good start. How are you feeling after, well, it's been a turbulent week in the Netherlands, to say the least. You got through it. Congratulations.
Yeah, it was an interesting race. I didn't really get time to practice. I did one session total, like a couple days ago. So I mean, I didn't come in with a lot of practice. That's why I was kind of washed in quali. But yeah, from the race went pretty well. I was running a 11-11 wing, so um I had a lot of stability, but it's quite understeery in the first few laps, and not great on straight line, obviously. Um, yeah, the first stint went okay. Yari spun, which gave me a free position. The safety car was great. Because my tires were perfectly fine. Like I was 2 tenths, 3 tenths maybe off my best lap on lap 13. So yeah, that safety car was great. I thought I could jump brain stew, but yeah, just short of brain stew. But after safety car, his pace was really insane. So I didn't think I was gonna hold on to the lead anyways. So yeah, that set was pretty boring. I just kept behind brain stew. His second sector was crazy fast, so I couldn't really get close to him. But the DRS helped me stay close, like within a second at least. And the third safety car, I think I did the right decision. So I stayed out, hoping because Netherlands is insanely hard to overtake, and it almost paid off. So close to paying off, but if I had like 10% more ERS at the end, I think I could have kept Brainstew behind, but just short. So yeah, overall I think it's a pretty good race, and I kept within Brainstew. If he gets a penalty or anything, I could always snatch the win.
Well, Russia next week, round 3 coming up. How are you looking for the next edition of the season, and how does this finish bring you closer to confidence for that?
Well, I've always been a lot better at Russia than Netherlands. I've always been pretty terrible at Netherlands last game. I remember there was a joke where Frewer beat me like 5 times in a row in Netherlands races. So last game. So for Russia, I think it's definitely better track. I remember last season my pace was okay, but at least better than Netherlands. So I think it will be better. Maybe I can win.
Well, definitely going to be looking for some good form in Russia. Unicorn, any questions for Shenjay before we move on to Mr. Brainstew? I don't know if we can hear you.
There we go.
There
I
we
don't know
go.
what happened there, but Shenjay, obviously, like you said, not Netherlands, maybe not your strongest track. We saw last week a pole position. Do you think, qualifying in Russia might go a little bit better as well? Of course, you mentioned the win there might be possible for you, but do you think qualifying you can get back on top like you were last week?
Yeah, I think with definitely more practice. I don't know if I will. Depends if I have a lot of time. But yeah, this race, I mean, I maybe could have got pole like if I practiced a lot. But the Brainstew and Yari had really good sector twos, which I was more than 10th off. So yeah, maybe with more practice, I get pole next week. Not sure though. See what I like about the track.
Well, Shenjay, congratulations as always. Thank you for taking the time to interview as well. But a great start to the championship for you, 2 podiums already. And we'll see if you can continue that streak next week in Russia.
Thanks.
All right, that was Shenjay, everyone, our P2 finisher, now joining us for the second week in a row. And, well, it might have even been 3. You never know, because Brainstew not only had to win 1 race last week in Bahrain, technically you won 2. Now you've technically won 3. Welcome. Congratulations on a race win here in the Netherlands. You started this one 2nd position. You got a very, very good start. You took lead of things early. How are you feeling about this race win?
Yeah, it's just crazy. I was so surprised, to get P2. I had very little time to practice this week because I was very busy, and getting P2 was like I didn't expect it. So I could get P1 at the start from Yar, and from there I just managed the race. I uh, I saw he spun on the last corner, so that really eased the way to the win. Although the safety car was quite unfortunate because I had quite a big lead, and from there I had to really focus and trying to keep Shanjay behind. My sector 2 was very good, so that's probably why he couldn't he couldn't get me on the straight with the DRS. And I also I don't know what happened with the best mate. We were side by side at the exit of on corner 3, 4, I remember, and we just touched the side pot and he spun. So I'm sorry about that, and I hope we'll be okay.
Yeah, not entirely sure on our end what happened there. It didn't seem like there was too much wheel-to-wheel contact, and there was just an unfortunate situation for him. This being your second race win in a row officially, of course, now in the standings. You took the fastest lap today as well. How are you looking moving into round 3? Of course, Russia, another very different circuit to what we've just come out of with the Netherlands. Do you have confidence moving for a potential, strong push for a third win in that race?
Well, Russia is a track I feel quite good at. Don't know if you remember last race, the last season. But yeah, I will definitely look into at least getting a podium, and if I can get a win, then it's even better.
Well, definitely looking forward to it. Unicorn, any questions for Brains 2? Second week in a row coming in.
Well, it's just as mentioned Russia there, of course, Brains 2, but obviously 2 race wins in a row, 51 points on the ball with tonight's fastest lap as well. Obviously, it's very early days, and we don't want to don't jinx anything. I doubt it's even really crossed your mind, race to race kind of thing. But 51 point near perfect start. Surely this is also just driven your confidence up for the championship as a whole, because 15 races, we're 2 down, there's 13 left, and you've got quite the lead already. So this does seem to be a very strong title fight for you. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I'm feeling very good now, and the pace seems to be very good, even though I don't have very much time to practice, but that doesn't seem to be a problem. And yeah, just keep doing this, and let's try to get more wins.
Well, Brains 2, congratulations, another brilliant result for you and Alfa Romeo as a whole, of course, with the double podium, and I think that puts you top of the drivers and the constructors championship as well. So congratulations on both of those, and we'll see you next week, and maybe even interview you again if you keep this form up.
Thank you very much.
What a race from Brains 2. What a race all around from everyone who came through for Tier 1 today. That is going to wrap up our coverage of the evening in the racing action. Of course, that isn't it for us this week. However, this coming Saturday at 3 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, 8 p.m. British Summer Time, and that's 9 p.m. Central Europe, we are going to be having the second round of our Champions Division, which will be a full qualifying session with a 50% distance campaign, and it will be Mr. Tomic and the McLaren looking to potentially find a back-to-back win on his end. And of course, we'll have a few drivers that were absent last week, potentially back this week as well. Now, after that, we're going to be having a 100% distance campaign around Spa-Francorchamps. Of course, Formula One racing weekend takes us through to Spa, and so we follow suit with the Endurance Series, and that will be George and I on comms for both Saturday's races. Now, with that said, George, any last remarks before we close out the evening?
Yeah, well, I just asked Brains there about the championship, but, that fight between, the top few as well as Aston Martin and Alfa Romeo, imagine if this was one of the final races, and Aston Martin lost one of their drivers in the first lap. That, gives Alfa Romeo a nice little lead there now. But of course, you mentioned Saturday's extravaganza as well. I'll mention it. I mentioned it yesterday as well. Rain forecast for Spa for the weekend. So that endurance race looking to be a pretty spicy one. But as for tonight, that's all for Tier 1 for this week. We'll be back same time, same place next week, as well as along with all the other tiered actions. But join us again on Saturday for Champions, and that'll be the last Netherlands race of the week. But with that being said, thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you again next time.